Hi, everybody. This is Bill Holton, and this is Dakota Grappler Live. Tonight, we're joined by John Gums, myself, and Rockie Burkett, the head coach at Northern State. Um, it's been a cold little stretch here, but
Yeah.
Rockie's coming off a heated season, so we thought we'd get him on here tonight, talk about um, you know kind of how the season went, and as everybody doesn't know, Northern State was named co-champs of the NSIC, and that's a incredible accomplishment, especially if you kind of see where we were coming from a few years back. So um, I don't, I'm not going to say that we couldn't beat anybody, but we couldn't beat anybody. Um,
We couldn't.
and, and that's and had some great individuals in the past, right? But I think that the next step to becoming a really really good solid program is putting out a really good dual team, and that is one thing that Northern had this year. So Rockie, thanks for coming on and give us a little recap on the season so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know, I was on a while back, kind of before as we were getting ready to start the season. So yeah, we kind of got going in January, and just guys, our first trip was to Upper Iowa, which is, if you've ever been down there, that's a tough trip to go on. Especially if you're coming from the Dakotas, it's a long drive. For us, it's 8-hour trip, and it's a small little gym and tough crowd. And I mean, they couldn't have visiting fans. They had limited number of home fans there, but we went down there, and we've never beaten those guys. They just have a great program. Heath has gotten multiple team trophies. He got one when he was still in Division III, and then when they transitioned over to D2, they kind of won our conference the first few years, and then they also placed top 4 in the country a few times, and just never been able to get over the hump with those guys. And we went down there, and it was a tough duel. It came down to an overtime match at heavyweight, and luckily my assistant coach Zeke, when I went to go throw the challenge brick at 174, he grabbed it out of my hand because we needed that sucker in the heavyweight match, and they had called a takedown in the first sudden victory, and we challenged it, and I still kind of shocked they overturned it a little bit. I knew it was going to be a close call, but being down there in their home gym, I was like, there's probably no way they're going to overturn this. They did, and then we went down to the 30-second rideouts, and we got a reversal the first one, and then we rode them out the second one. So really just kind of kickstarted the season, and we had a couple upsets down there. It was really fun. I wish the place could have been full. It would have been really fun to be in there in that environment. But hey, we had one fan down there, our bus driver from Winston, cheering us on, and probably a hundred or so Upper Iowa fans. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of took off from there. Then the next week we hosted a tough Parkside team. They've been ranked in the top 25 all year long. Had a good duel with them, beat them, and then, I mean, it kind of gets to be a crazy journey from there. We were on the bus headed to Minot State the following week. That was our third duel, and my wife called me as we were getting ready to pull out of the parking lot, and she goes, "Hey, I just went and took a rapid test for COVID, and I'm tested positive for COVID." So I was like, "All right." Zeke and Griff, my assistants, I looked at them. I pulled them off the bus. I was like, "Hey, this just happened. You guys are going to go up there on your own because I'm going to get stuck in quarantine." I asked my trainer, I was like, I'm pretty sure I got to go in quarantine. He goes, "Yeah, you need to get out of here." So I just went on the bus real quick, told the guys, "Hey, you guys got this. You know what you're doing." And they do. I mean, they don't really need us. They know what they need to do. And picked up a victory up in Minot. And then following week, we had to shut down or we didn't shut down, but our duel got canceled with Moorhead because of some COVID protocols. They weren't comfortable coming down, and so then we were out for that week, and then really kind of got tested down at Southwest State. We had some guys out with injury. We had another guy just come back from COVID. We had another guy out with COVID, and I knew Jesse. Jesse's always got a really tough team down there. He does a lot with a little, just with resources and stuff. And they kind of, went through a tough streak, a couple tough matches, and I knew he was going to have them ready, especially at home. So I was a little nervous going into it. And then, for us, we've really been fast starters down at 120, or, down at our lower weights. And as soon as we got to weigh-ins, Jesse's like, hey, we don't want to start at 125. We want to flip for the starting weight class. And I was like, yeah, go figure. I'm terrible at the flip, so I always lose. And before he even said the weight class, I was like 174. I knew where he wanted to start. And, they kind of got going with got off to a quick start, picked up the first 3 matches, and then, we followed it up with a few wins. Kind of had, Wyatt Turnquist had a really strong season for us, a kid from Winter, South Dakota. Had some great wins. I think he's had all bonus point wins, if I can think right, except he had a loss at Southwest that night. He had just got out of quarantine, so he had like 2 days of practice, and you can kind of tell. And sure enough, he got caught in a 4-point turn, which is kind of his MO. He gets a bunch of 4-point turns and kind of puts the kid out of the water. And, that happened to us, and it was a little bit too much for us to come back from. So it came down to the last 2 matches. Caden Moore, Mr. Reliable, is always good for a takedown to get a win. Got a takedown to get a win at 157. And then, it's pretty awesome. Bill got to be there. It was the first time that Southwest had fans this season. And, up to our trusty 5th-year senior there, Billy Holton, came out and just wrestled a smart match. He's just crafty, man. He's smart. And, came out of him. So it was really awesome to see him come down and get that win, especially, it's kind of a chippy crowd. It was kind of getting in, everyone was kind of getting into it. It's first time it's a small gym, first time they could have fans. And, it was a pretty heated environment, and some of our guys had some pretty big celebrations, Colton Rock.
Yeah.
I kind of get on those guys a little bit because it's like, come on, you guys. But, at the same time, it's what pumps them up. So, Colton flexed on the crowd pretty hard, and Billy gets the win, and Billy just does this.
Yeah. Yeah, he gave the fans kind of a you could see him making a little eye contact with the fans at the end of the second period. There was kind of a scramble situation there, and he kind of held off a takedown. And it was fun. That was good.
Yeah, just kind of typical Billy fashion. I like, he's gonna get. He's just gonna. Nope, not gonna give it up. And then typical Billy celebration. Just okay.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then we finished it up this week with Mary at home, and we've had some good duels with them the last couple of years, and this one our guys just really came out and performed well. And Michael Bigler probably got the team started off with the upset victory there at 125, and from there we didn't really look back. So it was a fun duel.
No, for anybody who didn't watch it, right? Northern beat the brakes off them. It was 8 matches to 2. Could have been 9-1. It was a really, really hard fought battle at heavyweight. That was a winnable match, I think, for Ali. Yeah. And besides that, everybody looked good. I thought, there was a couple matches maybe we were behind and came back. And but one thing that I think has been very impressive, and I, talking with some of the other fans in the crowd, and this week, the one thing I don't believe, and I might be wrong, but I don't remember giving up a bonus point loss all year. So when you're getting down to the end, you kind of think about that. You think, man, you're kind of doing the math. It's like, well, I haven't given up bonus points all year. I don't think they're going to start now. And this team has gotten a lot of bonus points. Yeah. Didn't get a lot of them that night. Did get obviously some big ones at 165 for with James Burks getting the pin over number 9 ranked
Huber. Yep.
Huber, there. So that was big, but pretty impressive season. If we go back, there was I think 5 conference wins this year might total the total number of wins conference duels we've had, in the last 4 or 5 years. So awesome season.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Obviously, I would love to have been able to wrestle the other 3 schools in the conference, just the way it is with our schedule. I guess 4 since we didn't get to wrestle Moorhead, but
right.
The guys did perform. I think we had bonus points in every duel, at least one. So it's guys just really stepped it up on our top game a lot this year, especially some of our 30 33, 41, 49. Caden Moore is probably not going to turn a lot of people. He's just going to
no, he's probably not.
But he doesn't get taken down a lot, and he usually gets some takedowns. So
yep. And this squad is young. I mean, when you start looking, especially when you take the free year this year, this is a pretty young squad from top to, not top to bottom, not all the way to heavyweight, but pretty close. So there's a lot of youngsters in there, and this is going to be a pretty salty lineup for a while.
So what's happening for the rest of the year for you?
Yeah, so in 2 weeks we'll host the regional down at Northern. So right now, we gave the guys this weekend off, and start back up tomorrow. And we got COVID testing at 6:30 a.m. and then practice after that. So really, it's kind of a weird year. Normally we might be tapering off a little bit more, but we've been preparing for one dual meet a week, for these last 6 weeks, and wanting our guys to be healthy for each of those dual meets and everything, and really focused in on each of them because they're pretty important. And now we got to turn our attention to a tournament where you might have to win, 4 matches to get to the national tournament. So we're going to kind of up our training a little bit for, a good chunk of it. And then the following week, probably taper it back off and get the guys feeling good for going into Saturday's tournament.
When will your brackets come out?
Friday night, the night before, so the 26th. So should be interesting. Like right now, we have a call with the NCAA tomorrow to get more information. It's just everything's kind of getting thrown together, kind of last minute, and which is kind of a little nerve-wracking when you're hosting the tournament. Obviously, our administration is putting a lot of it together, but they're looking for us for answers on some things too. And the other coaches want answers, and we're still trying to get answers from the NCAA on how this will work and that'll work with testing and everything. Because we don't even really necessarily have a schedule yet as far as when we're going to start. Each team has to take a PCR test 2 days before they get to Northern. Then they have to test Thursday. They have to test Friday, and then we have to test before weigh-ins on Saturday morning. So we have to get through basically 4 rounds of testing with those guys. So it's we have a testing agency coming in, and so we might start testing early in the morning, then weigh-ins, and we may not start wrestling until noon possibly. So like I said, it's a little nerve-wracking, but hey, we've gotten this far. We've gone through all these struggles. Let's just keep on trucking and see where we're at on 27th.
So pretty much a 2-day tournament?
No, 1 day.
Let's just get it all in one. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So we have 25 qualifiers is what we're getting this year. So typically we would have 30, but NCAA reduced across the board from 180 to 132. And then there's a percentage of qualifiers per region based on how many teams are competing in your region. So we have the minimum number of 10 right now. And so as long as everybody stays, as long as every team still comes on to the regional, is able to compete, we're going to still have those 25. So the top 2 will be automatic bids, and then 5 third-place wild cards.
Do we know how those third-place wild cards are going to be chosen yet, or?
There's theories on that, but right. Based from what we've been told, it's going to be sounds like the coaches will rank those, rank the 10 third placers, and then probably pretty similar to what we do before pre-seeds going into the region. Each of the coaches puts together their pre-seeds, and then based on the point totals, that's how we get our seeds. So I'm sure it'll be similar to that. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong with the NCAA before.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everything stays, on track between, here and there, and then, the next couple weeks after that. National tournament is in St. Louis still.
Yep. So, yeah, they'll be busy 2 weeks in a row with Division IIs and Division I's down there. So
that'd be good.
Which weekend is that one? yours?
Ours was whatever that Friday, Saturday is. It's either the 12th and the 13th or the 13th and the 14th. So, yeah, be good.
So what's your biggest surprise on the season? Wrestling wise, COVID wise, anything?
Man,
You know, because it's really an odd year, so you kind of just leave your window wide open.
yeah.
And so I've kind of wondered, you know, as you approach it, you know, maybe you've left it so wide open, you're not surprised, you know, because anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like we kind of told our guys from the get-go, like, hey, just prepare like it's a normal year, but be prepared for the unexpected too. You know, like you could be called upon to jump in the lineup. You know, like we had Tanner Weiss wrestling 197 for us at Minot. You know, and we had I was like, we got, hey, we're good with 97. We got a few guys there if something happens. Well, our backup the Friday before, his suite mate, who's not even a wrestler, got COVID, so then he got quarantined, and then our other guy got put out. So it's like, oh, Tanner, hey, guess what? You want to weigh in at 176 and wrestle 197? Yeah. But I think for us, for me, like the one unexpected thing for me is just how well our guys handled it. Like, it's a bad deal for these kids to have to go through all the kids that are going through it, whether it's basketball, football, or, heck, we got a season. You know, some kids didn't even get a season. And,
Right.
I think the way our guys responded and battled through it. And we've had some just really good leaders this year. You know, Billy's one of our captains, and then Caden Moore and Colton Roth and Wyatt Turnquist. They've all just done a really good job behind the scenes. Because I haven't even really had time. Sometimes we'll sit down with our captains and go over just leadership stuff, and we haven't really had time to do a lot of that. But I also trust in those guys. They just know what to do. So,
how about bottom dollar? I'm not sure if you can get into it, but is there an approximate number that your team has spent in COVID tests?
Well, my AD told me when we were going to do when we initially thought we were only going to have to test once a week, it was going to be like $12,000. Well, we ended up having to test. The NCAA changed that right before the season. We had to test 3 times a week. So it's probably closer to, 40.
Oh boy.
But I don't know, that some of that might have ended up coming through some state money too. I don't know how all that goes down. There's a lot of federal money out there that we could probably help out with, but it's expensive, man. It's not a cheap deal. It's not fun getting up at 6:30 3 times a week. Or like, some of the cases we go on, we get back from, well, I guess I didn't go to Minot this time, but guys get back from Minot at 2 a.m. and 4 hours later, hey, you gotta be back here and get a COVID test. We went to Upper Iowa. We left Upper Iowa and we got back to Aberdeen at 7:30 in the morning on a Friday, and we walked right in and COVID tested and went home and went to bed. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think when so many weird things. I think that those 4 captains that you're talking about are all pretty level-headed, right? I mean, they're pretty even keeled. And I think that probably really helps the rest of the squad kind of make it through those bumpy times. I would think. I mean, these are guys that are fire plugs on the mat. 2 of them especially really, real bouncing off the walls on the mat, but they're real even keeled kids. There's no doubt about it. And the other 2 are a little bit more calm on the mat too, but I would assume that's really helped.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, if this would have happened, I probably would have quit my job by now. We had, just didn't have the right. I mean, and now when I say that, we had guys like Billy and Walker, Riley, Larry, Kenny Jones, but we didn't have enough of those guys on the team.
Right.
I mean, we still have a knucklehead here too in our team now, but like the broad majority of our guys, man, I don't have to worry about them at all. They're just really good kids, man. Like we have great academics. The grades are good. And just good quality people. And that's what's allowed us to get some kids that maybe aren't quite as polished right out of the chute, because we can get them around those guys, and eventually they're gonna either figure it out or they're not. they're not going to have as much success.
So who's the team? I would say comedian, or keeps that light in the room. Is there a guy you could pick out in the team?
Well, I guess it just kind of depends on the comedy you're looking for. If you're looking for the biggest smart aleck, I'd probably use another word, but I probably shouldn't on here. But Colton Roth. And then if you just want somebody that will come up with some pretty off the wall saying, they'll just kind of get everybody laughing. Billy Holton's usually pretty good for that. So, he's got some very good quotes.
Yes. Yeah. I believe he would.
So.
Oh, that's good. Well, you start talking about bringing those kids in that are just good kids. I'm sure I mentioned this before when you're on. That's not an accident. I mean, this is a culture that's been built, and there's no. I mean, we know that when, and I haven't been around the program, right? I've been around the program for 5 years, so. There was some great leaders there, great individual athletes, the Joe Gomez's and Havlovics and Blake and some other really good, but there was not a solid. I mean, you're talking about a solid 10 guys, but it's really probably 14 guys that are really a solid lineup. In there and guys that are leaders, guys that can be trusted to go and do stuff on their own, I'm guessing, as well as doing pretty good in the classroom. So
yeah, we call it our 10-80-10 principle, where 10% of your team is going to be off the wall, extraordinary, going above and beyond. Then your 80% is just good, solid kids. You're never going to have to worry about them. They're going to show up every day. And then you got your bottom 10 who you're usually going to have to be on them a little bit. And, luckily for us, so if you break that, we talk about it, you break that down with just say 30 guys, that's about 3 guys in that 10%, 3 guys in the other 10%, and the rest are in the middle. And lucky for us, I feel like we have more than that in the top 10%, and even in the 80%, they're kind of shading towards that upper level. So, we're just really fortunate to have those guys and be a part of it. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to talk about 2 of them.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we got 2 guys that we honored the other night as our seniors. They won't be coming back next year at our Northern duel with Mary. And the first one, Jake Flackus, he's from here in town, Aberdeen, South Dakota. And man, I first got out here in 2005, and I remember we were putting on the Northern State Youth Tournament. My first time I was helping out, and Zach Flackus, who was our assistant athletic director at the time, he shows up at the tournament, and he brings this little chubby, curly-haired kid with him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, this is my son Jake, and he's gonna be wrestling, for I think maybe the first time that day or whatever." And I was like, "Oh man, this kid's in for a tough ride for the next few years." And, little did I know that guy, Jake, probably won I don't know how many state AAU titles as a little kid. And then I was around him, when I was assistant at Northern, and then I was lucky enough when I was the head coach at Central. I brought him up. He was an 8th grader. We brought him up into our room, and he had to battle his way through those first couple of years because he was in with some pretty good kids. We had a lot of state placers and state runner-ups and finalists and around there, so he kind of got beat up a little bit. But my last year with him, he was a sophomore. I think he ended up getting 3rd or 4th in the state, so it was a pretty cool deal. I always joke with him. Martin Mueller, who was the number 1 in the state that year, tried to do a cartwheel over Jake in the semifinals. I can't remember what Jake did, but he did not let that happen. But Jake decided when he first graduated high school, we'd recruited him, and he decided he's super smart kid. He ended up going to School of Mines out in Rapid City, and after a semester decided, hey, I wanted to get back into wrestling. So he actually graduated in 3.5 years. So he finished with a double bachelor's degree in chemistry and chemistry education. student taught at Aberdeen Central this past fall, and leading up into the fall, he came and talked to me. He goes, Coach, they're gonna have an open position there in January, and they want me to take that position when I finish my student teaching. And I was like, well, how do you turn that down when it's your hometown? And I was like, Jake, I don't even know if we're going to have a season at that point in time, I was like, take it. And obviously I know you want to finish out your season too. We're going to figure it out and we'll make it happen. And unfortunately, this is my spiel. I'm going to get on my soapbox about the NCAA here. Because Jake had already finished his bachelor's degree, they were going to make him enroll full-time in a master's program in order to be eligible. And he didn't have a minor started, so if he wanted to do just a minor, he would have to enroll full-time in undergrad, just in minor classes for a minor to be eligible. So we appealed it. We submitted a waiver. They denied it. We're like, hey, this is like this kid. We may still not have a season, and you're telling this kid not to take this job. He's a straight A student, graduated in 3.5 years. He has like 2 years of eligibility left, and you're not finished his last year. They appealed it. They didn't let him do it. So I'm still pretty hot about it because I wanted him to be able to wrestle a match, the other night and Wax Arena one time, and I know he was pretty bummed about it. But he comes. I mean, his family's he grew up Northern State, man. His grandpa Jim Kretschmann, first All-American in Northern State history for football. I think he even started the wrestling program at Webster High School, just down the road. Our Hall of Fame is named after him. They got a picture of him all over. Then his dad is, the athletic director, or was the assistant athletic director here for multiple years. Now he's at South Dakota State. His mom was actually roommates with Jim McCoskey's wife when Jim was here at Northern. So just a great family, and I couldn't be more proud of Jake Flackus, man. He's going to do awesome things as a teacher and as a coach. So and then obviously the other guy that we're going to talk about is just Billy. Same thing. I can't even say enough about both those two. I mean, Billy's finished his undergrad a year and a half ago. Now he's going to finish his master's in a year and a half. Has been a grad assistant in our science department at Northern. Both those guys have been multiple time academic All-Americans. Billy has been, one of the funnest kids I've had on our team. And I'm not saying that just because I got Bill here, but every day I got, my computer. If you walk in my office, I got masking tape all over my computer with little sayings that Billy Holton writes down on my roll of masking tape and sticks them on.
He usually uses all that tape to tape himself up.
Yeah, that's somebody that just unbelievably tough, man. I remember his redshirt freshman year, we got one of our starters back, Tanner Olson, who's actually ended up being pretty good friends with Billy. Got back in the lineup at 157, and we didn't have anybody at 49, and Billy cut his butt off to get down to 149, and he did it for our team. And believe me, I remember me and JR were working hard with him.
You guys had to have been in pretty good shape by the end of the season.
Yeah. There was one time I remember I walked in the locker room and he's just like sitting there, just like, I was like, I don't know if we're going to get him down there this time. And I was like, Billy, we can do this, man. And he just got up, never complained about it, and did it. And, just had a lot of unfortunate things with injuries, man. Like right now he's got a labrum that doctor told him. We didn't know if the doctors were going to let him wrestle, whatever was last year, I think, Bill. And, and he hasn't made a peep out about it hardly, for having his arm literally about ready to fall off. Got a torn UCL in his elbow. His MCL tears about, I don't know how many times he's had a tear in it. Like the trainer will just come up to me and be like, hey, just so you know, Billy tore his MCL yesterday. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just practiced with him yesterday, like the whole practice, and he never said anything. He goes, yeah, he just came into the training room this morning. He's like, yeah, I think I tore my MCL. And yeah, so most of our guys aren't going to, one of those things, are going to sideline them, and never he just shows up, man. Just shows up. So hats off to you, Bill and Laurel, for what you guys have done, raising him, man. He's just been incredible to have on the team. So thank you guys for letting him be here, part of it.
Yeah, no, it's been great having him there. He, it's pretty weird. The injury stuff has been tough. It's been weird, because he never really had any injuries. In high school, I've always said he was never healthy for a state tournament. Like his freshman year, he wrestled 9 matches in 3 days. That lost in the quarterfinals, comes back, takes third. Plus they had, of course, a dual team that was, in it all. And, we get done. And at the end, it's like he said, I don't feel, he didn't feel good, right? He had 3 or 4 overtime matches. He had bronchitis the whole time. It's like he would be fine the rest of the season, yeah. But yeah, he's shown a little bit of that toughness, and it's just not a lot of complaining in him. No. I got it some today, but he it's been obviously great. I got to watch him wrestle, obviously, at Southwest. He wrestled I thought he wrestled one of the better matches I've seen him wrestle in years. Yep. On Thursday night against Mary. I mean, he had 4 takedowns and a near a 4-point near fall. It looked good. I mean, he just looked solid. Just technique looked good, and it's one of those where you kind of drop your head and think, man, I love this sport, and it builds great people. And I kind of hate to see him not stay in the sport somehow, because he would be great for the sport. He's a pretty good technician, and we hear quite often, and I've heard it, from parents down at Northern, that have kids that are, in your youth program, that he's done a pretty good job. They like to see, when he shows up to coach. So
yeah, Coach Tim, Coach, well, this year we haven't been able to let the guys in there with COVID or whatever, but yeah, usually Coach Tim, who's pretty good friends with Curveball, he'll be like, make sure Billy's at practice today. I need him. So, and Billy's one of the guys that does it, and the kids like him. And, I thought he wrestled really, really good on Thursday. He's like, hey, did you see that shot I took? I was like, yeah, the one at the end. He goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, I didn't know if you were going to pull that in. He goes, me neither, but I decided I better just finish it.
Yeah. Well, I think of the same thing. He gets stretched out. There ain't a whole lot. There's not much in that left shoulder. Yeah. We go back to when you talk about that 100, redshirt freshman year, that 140. That's when that happened. There's that Minot duel, obviously, he's had torn labrum for 4 years, and it's always like, well, the first year it'll heal itself, and then it never did, and now it just gets too late to even try to fix it. But so no, it's been fun, and I'm glad he was there. There was a lot of options at that time, and I'm glad that those boys all went down there. I think it's been a very successful career as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's had great academics. He's been a great fit. He's had other issues, right? And health wise, and that Northern family, you just couldn't be any better, and then you have the Curtis Lemaire situation, and it's just been handled so well by the staff, and it's been a great experience.
Yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs for sure, and I don't know if I've ever seen him complain, or put his head down. I mean, obviously you're always going to have some struggles and stuff, but he's always been willing up for the challenge. He even got me in the pool a whole bunch this year. We were swimming. So he wore me out this last week even, I was having to drill with him the whole time. So I got a torn labrum thanks to Billy too, myself.
Oh, good. Perfect.
From a few years back, summertime wrestling with him. But and I mean, you brought up the Curtis thing. I mean, that was something Curtis would come up that summer before he enrolled at Northern, and him and Billy, worked out quite a bit with in the room and stuff, and got to be pretty close in that short time. And yeah, all those guys they've definitely bonded and come closer together. So it's been fun to see. You know, Billy and I talk a lot about like like what I mentioned earlier. Like I can only imagine what this season would be like if it was 3 years ago.
Right.
And so it's been fun.
So I'm not sure how much you can talk about, but what does it look like for recruits coming for this next year?
Yeah, so we've signed 2 kids so far. Tegan Black out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. I think he's ranked top 8 right now in his weight class. And then Kale Larson from Rapid City, South Dakota. He's ranked number 1 right now. We did get a commit the other day, but I haven't got the NLI yet, so I can't.
Right, say anything. Sure.
But
how about?
I can't say he's from Nebraska.
He might be.
Yeah,
I can say it.
Yeah. And then how about for returning wrestlers? Are there any still going on with life that you know of right now?
Billy and Jake for right now that I know of. So everyone else is still planning on coming back. So that I think we have 33 guys on the roster right now. So we'll probably. I mean, we're still gonna try to get a few more kids this year. We're being a little bit more selective. Which is crazy. I mean, we've had to bring in like 12 kids a year the last few years. It's kind of nice this year. We can be a little bit more selective, and we'll probably try to get to that 34, 35 number going into next year.
Okay. How about this? I've behind the scenes asked a new person for your golf tournament, Randy Lewis.
Oh yeah.
he would bring a new flavor to the Rich Vogelite team, I think, if we.
Yeah.
Well, I think Coach McCoskey wants to come next year too.
McCoskey. We've talked to him, and he said he'd come down to it.
Well, I think we've actually talked about possibly moving it to across the street to the bigger golf course, even. So.
Good.
Yeah, Randy Lewis. He was up here when I was still at like assistant or GA for Coach Tim. He came up and did a camp, so I got to hang out with Randy for a little bit. And I picked him up for the clinic.
Yeah.
he was a little sleepy I'd say.
Yeah, but that would add some flavor. Bring Jim and him along, put them on the same team. And
yeah. So we probably have to have like some new game to come up with, like the impossible leg. See if anybody could grab Randy Lewis's leg.
Not me.
Yeah.
I've been thrown enough. I don't need to be thrown anymore.
Yep. I could figure out something. That's kind of funny. Can you touch Randy Lewis's leg? Yeah.
I have a video series. I think it was called The Impossible Leg. It was the technique videos. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that could be interesting. No, I'm excited for your guys' team. I watched the duel, in fact, the other night, and I was impressed. You guys' conditioning looked good. Technique, I thought everybody went from whistle to whistle, and I thought it just looked better. Then Mary's had kind of an ups and downs, and they have a good team, but you guys took it to them the other night.
Yeah, like I said, the guys. It was really the first time, other than probably Dane Morton, that we were able to get everybody training, on a consistent basis for a week. Dane's had he had a pretty severe injury right before the season, so got a couple practices in right before Minot, and then he had a wrestle off with Ty Altoff. Ty had won his first, the first 3 matches, kind of been on fire, and Dane beat Ty, but he got hurt during that match, so it's like, all right, now back to square one, and he really practiced twice this week, I think, before the duel, and so the last month he's only had about 5 practices in. So hopefully these next 2 weeks we can get him going, and he'll sharpen up pretty quick. That kid never gets off the mat, and never loses a step. Really, we just got to get his shape under him a little bit. So
yeah, definitely. So your main competition then, going into the super regional, St. Cloud, Mankato. What are y'all thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough field no matter what. I mean, St. Cloud, obviously, and then, Jim's team's been really good. Augustana's really good. He's going to have a good – I mean, Parkside, they have some really good individuals.
Really good guys, yeah.
And then all those other teams are going to have some guys as well. So it's just show up.
Battle.
Yeah, I mean, I might have opened a can of worms on Twitter today. Some D1 guys were back and forth about allocations, and I was like, I just I was like, well, how about you just go to a region and you get 3 regardless of who's in the weight class or what your strength of schedule is or anything.
That's on a good year. This year you don't even get 3, but
Yeah,
normally
2.5,
you get 3.
2.5 this year per weight class.
Yeah, it's like, so it's like, man, I'd love to have allocations. It is what it is. I think last year that 133-pound weight class in our region was just hammered. There's kids that got left home. Several kids that got left home that I think could have been All-Americans last year, and it's not always that way with every weight class. There could be, we could have a not a very good weight class, and I'm fine with not having as many qualifiers for that weight class if another region has the top guys. I just want to get the top guys there, and I wish we could look at that a little bit more, but Division II has been pretty steadfast with this regional format.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So has there been any talk, or they wait until the end of the season next year to have opens again?
I know there's a guy down in southeast South Dakota that's wanting to have a college open at a facility, I think, coming up here pretty soon. The bad thing for us is when we agreed to have a season, basically, I think our presidents with the conference said that it was these could be the only duels we wrestle this academic year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for us being able to go to some open tournaments, we may not be able to do that, even if guys do it on their own. We got a waiver back in November for the UWW because it was a world team qualifier. So they let us do that. So if there's depending on what happens with, senior nationals or anything like that this spring or UWW, we might be able to get a waiver and do that. But, that's something we definitely would love for some of our guys to get some more matches in this year. Like some of them got one match, if anything,
Right. Hey, I guess that I should bring up, Jon and I talked about this a little bit before the start of the show. One great thing we've seen happen this year is the extra matches with the duel, and we're seeing it, at the Division I level, Division II level. I assume Division III guys were doing it also.
Yep.
That's been a great addition, and I know in a lot of cases it, we'd get those matches in open tournaments, but really a lot of times after January 1st, we're not seeing we're not seeing that many open tournaments. I mean, there's a few out there, but not everybody goes. You always had a select few that would go in their redshirt year, but after that, you didn't see a lot of it. So you think there's any chance we could see more of that hanging on in the future?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at all levels, like you said, it's been good. I think they'll probably put like a limit on the number you can get in there or whatever. I definitely liked the last few times we've had them at the beginning. When we were in Upper Iowa, we had them afterwards, and we had like 7 of them. We didn't get out of there until like 10:30 at night. So I think for the athletes' sake, just getting back home for school and stuff the next day and getting them done beforehand is a little bit better. It creates a little bit of stress as far as because those guys actually have to weigh in at a different time than other guys to make it count. It still has to be a 1-hour weigh-in for both set of duels.
It does.
So yeah, those guys have to weigh in, for a 7:00 duel. Our guys typically weigh in at 6:00, and if those extras are wrestling at 6, then they weigh in at 5. So there's just a little bit of logistics, but I mean, once you get the hang of it and get it figured out, it's not a big deal. But no, I think it's great I wish they would, Division I a few years ago for football did the red shirt deal where basically those kids could play for so many quarters and still keep their red shirt. I mean, it's been great for us this year with these. Everybody has an extra year. If Dane Morton, who's out the first couple of years, I may not put Ty Altoff in there in a circumstance because he may want to still redshirt. But this time, man, that kid got some
quality matches.
Better experience than going to an open tournament because he got put into the fire right away. Upper Iowa against a
he got thrown in Upper Iowa the first time out of the chute. And
not only is that great experience for him, but that shows us holy cow, all right, now I got a guy that I can trust in this guy when the moment's big, that dude's tough, man. He was
Oh man, he was battling at Southwest. Yeah.
He pulled his ankle really, really bad like 2 days before, and I was like, "Gosh, what are we gonna do?" And he's like, he didn't even flinch. He's like, I'll be fine."
But I think that'll open up some things. I see it in the D1 level. NDSU probably would have sat somebody like Kellen March.
Yeah.
You know, why would you waste a year this year when you're getting the feel of it? But guess what? He's had quality matches. He's kind of turned out to be a varsity guy for him, but they might not have given it a shot.
Yeah.
You know, so, give it a rest. I think that's happening everywhere.
Yeah. Cause I mean, a kid wrestling at Open could be totally different than you throwing him. Oh, I think this kid's ready. Then you throw him into Carver Hawkeye Arena, Mark Hall. First
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he ended up being fine, but you know, that's totally different to the Keystone Classic or something.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And just for like, how many forfeits were there this year? Like in duels, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know that I'm not sure I saw any in the NSIC. I can't I saw one last week. Yeah, but not very many. Right. Yeah, and in the D1s, same thing, you know, just a very few at Penn State still struggle a little bit to put a 25 pounder for a couple of weeks, but they got one today.
Yeah. They put Howard out there, but you know, that I think for the health of the sport too, you just, man, like, cause it's hard you don't want to burn a kid's match or burn a kid's eligibility for one match, even if it's an important right. duel, you know? And, so I think given that flexibility of one or two weigh-ins at a duel, I think would be great to be able to have.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure the NCAA with their extraordinary wisdom we'll see it that way. But
well now this kind of getting a busy off season for you. I was kind of trying to figure out, when are you guys going to start figuring out a schedule? Is that through the whole summer to the whole spring? You're just going to look at what possibilities are, or are you going to have to wait and just the fall goes and make schedules? Because usually kind of have a schedule set kind of year by year. And
yeah, I think it's, let's just get your schedule figure. I mean, you have to figure out where these tournaments and stuff are going to be and when they're going to be. I'm assuming they're probably going to fall in line with where they typically have traditionally been. But I think we'll get our conference duels worked out here, you know, within a couple months after the season, get that laid out there. So we'll have 9 of those with the addition of Parkside now. Knock on wood, I don't have to go to Kenosha next year. Hopefully I get them back at home. But for at least the first year.
Yeah, we had that. My wife and I were talking about that today. That but you know, yeah, that hopefully that can be made a trip where you can go to Fayette, Iowa, and Parkside all in one trip. But
yeah, it won't be an easy trip. We'll have to go to Mankato and Kenosha, and Kenosha, and those will be some tough duels. But that's what, you know. I was talking to McCoskey about this the other day. That's what makes it great, though. It's stressful as heck, man, being in this conference, like duel to duel, but at the same time, like, I know there's never going to be anybody that's going to lay down. You know, it's never going to be, and there'll be some blowouts. Like you know, there'll be some instances where there's some blowouts. But if you aren't on your A game, or have your best lineup out there, like, you could be beat by a lot of people in this conference.
Anybody. Yep.
And as far as dual meet goes, I mean, we may not have had as good a success maybe at the national tournament in the last couple of years, and I think that's still debatable. I think we have, but like dual meet wise, like, you look at some of these conferences, and I was like, man, I wish I could have some off nights. But then again, it's like I like, you know, hey, we didn't wrestle our best against Southwest, and they almost beat us, man. You know, and that got our guys ready for probably this last week. You know, they woke them up a little bit.
Yep. So you got some camps going on this summer?
Yes, we do. Still, hopefully with COVID and stuff, we're still trying to get it figured out. But I think we'll be able to have them, and we'll have a youth camp by the second week of June, and then our team camp the last week of June. So, you know, we've been able to bring in some pretty big names over the last few years. We've had Mark Perry, Steiner, Miles Martin, Tom Ryan, Brent Metcalf. And then this year, Right now we got Logan Stever locked in. So Bill guessed him on Twitter. So
I win. I must win a prize. I guessed it.
So yeah, we got
It was either that or Pat Smith, but it was going to be one or the other.
Yeah. So yeah, he's coming, and then we'll probably have 2 other guys that some pretty big name guys that'll come down. So it's been great, man. We've had some teams from up in Bismarck area. I know Coach Lardy brought some guys down, and Lars brought some guys down from Legacy a few years back. So usually get some Carrington South Border. We had Delac Burlington down there a few years back too as well. So yeah, hopefully we get a few hundred kids here again this summer. So we got some nice dorms, air conditioned, and pretty nice arena to go with it too.
Absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, as it gets closer, make sure you get that out to me, because Bill and I will probably keep doing more shows. We kind of cut them off in the spring a little bit through the summer. I think Bill and I are going to try to schedule one every week or 2 weeks, just kind of keep things going. Because of course we got big Olympic year. We got so many things happening. So, keep the interest of wrestling going.
Definitely.
No, do you have any big questions for Bill and I? As what do you see happening? Let's say, have you been asked on any other podcast shows or anything else, media wise?
I've been asked on any media stuff. Oh, we always have our good sports talk show on the Hub City on Wednesdays, Wolves Weekly or whatever. But Billy jumped in there a couple weeks ago for me. So I
did hear that one.
Yep. Wyatt Turnquist did a good podcast a couple weeks ago with Josh Nolan, one of my former assistants. So, but me personally, I haven't done one for a while. I did a flow one back in the fall. So, but that's probably the last one I've done. Oh, then with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, are you got any plans to come to the North Dakota State tournament, or it is kind of a weekend off anyway?
Yeah, actually, I usually come every year. It's just kind of gonna kind of have to depend on some things, practice wise. We were kind of talking it out. Our staff, one of our staff coaches had some family stuff. He had to go. He's taking off this week, so so we're gonna be down a guy. So it just kind of depends on. If we can get up there, we're gonna get up there. If not, we're gonna sit on track wrestling and watch it on there. So that's the nice thing, but. The bad thing about doing it on track, and I was talking to our coaches about it, is then you don't get to see like the little off the mat stuff that I really like. You can tell what kind of competitor they are, just how they react, how they carry themselves, and you don't, and even like watching on online, you don't get to see that energy. You don't feel that energy that they might have if you're watching them, real life. So we haven't actually been able to get out to a whole lot of events this year with recruiting, just because we have with our dual schedule, we've been practicing every Saturday. So hopefully,
well, you always have Bill and I.
Yeah.
We can be eyes for you. Seriously, if you ever have a question, I pay attention. So does Bill, about everybody. And Bill's going to do his broadcast. Nobody heard that. He gets to do part of the Class B, dual and individual
nice.
Finals. Got Bill in on the B side, so I'm excited to hear him on the B side with Hasler. Hasler does an awesome job, but Bill gets to be his color man.
Yeah, I can always bounce ideas, bounce names off you guys, and then I got a guy in an orange jacket that's usually down there too.
Oh yeah, Vogel. Yeah. He's not afraid to say anything by any means either. Yep, orange jacket or whatever color he can find, definitely.
Yep. So, yeah, he retired this year off of our broadcast. He was an All-American for Northern, and he's been doing it for a long time. And he's like, let one of the young guys do it this time around. So Josh Moore's been doing it this time, and he's done a really good job. So,
do you see that question from Jimmy?
Yeah, we can do it, Jim. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about this too. It sucks not being able to see them all. I'd definitely love to wrestle them. Hopefully up at the Barnett Center. I've had to go down to his place the last couple of years. I don't like going down there anymore. So I come up to the Barnett Center gym. We'll just have it up there, or we can do it in Clark, I guess too.
In Clark, yeah. That'll be a pretty good one. It's not too far. I was gonna say maybe just at Legends of Gold. Just meet there and have multiple matches going at once.
Yep. We can do it in Webster, South Dakota. That's not far from Clark. But I'll do it if Jim sets up a exhibition match with him and Brock Lesnar. We'll do it that way.
There we go.
Then definitely we'll be out there.
Heck, even if he just wrestled Storley.
Yeah.
In fact, talking about Storley, I've got him scheduled for this next Wednesday.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep, we're gonna have Logan Storley. We're gonna talk wrestling mainly, but he's doing UFC stuff, so that'll be brought up too.
Yeah.
You guys, Webster people, you can come on and watch him. I got Logan coming on next Wednesday. And then I'm going to be actually doing it probably from the state wrestling tournament. I'm cruising to Fargo on Wednesday and setting up. So I'll probably be doing it straight from the Fargo Dome, the interview. And so Bill will be coming down Thursday, I believe.
Yep.
Could probably bright and early. He's got to keep everything alive with these cold temperatures on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal. Well, it's been great to have Rockie on, and it's a big week now. I mean, that was a great way to finish off that part of the season, and look forward to. And I guess I should ask this: what are the fan situation for the Super Regional?
So right now for us, we're 25% capacity, so that'll be 1,500 fans. So they'll be still working out the details on that, but I think as far as like there'll be some pre-sale tickets Friday evening available, and I think we should have plenty of tickets. I think each team we kind of allotted them each team 100 for now, and then whatever they don't use, those will be left over too as well. So yeah, we'll have some fans there, and look forward to it. It's a fun facility to be in. You know, our administration's done a really good job to kind of just upgrade it and do some cool things to it, and so I'm excited to host it there and show it off to people. So
to me, it's the greatest. It's one of the greatest wrestling tournaments in the country. It's if you're involved in it, there's a lot of heartache, but there's a lot. It's really a good wrestling tournament. I mean, there are top ranked kids meeting up in just about every round, and someone has to lose, and it's a really, really good tournament. Very exciting. It's every round is tough. It's a really fun tournament. So if you can get there, I would get there.
Well,
I miss the 2-day format a little bit. I kind of miss having those other schools back up here. I mean, and dang, they're tough too, But
yeah.
I mean, then you go from 3 qualifiers per weight to 4, which would add those schools in. I don't know if it doesn't get any easier, but
No.
2 days of seeing it, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of emotions, and it's fun to be a part. It is fun. It's fun to be a part of. When you look back at it, sometimes it rips your heart out, though. So.
Yeah,
well, I've got 2 directions: Rapid City or Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So I suppose state South Dakota will be the same weekend. Yeah.
Yep. So it's always unfortunate. It's always the same weekend as the state tournament with South Dakota. Like last year was kind of cool. We got to walk down the hall and watch that a little bit Friday evening before we had our practice on Friday, and because they were in the same building complex.
Yep.
Yeah. Stinks, I don't get to ever go to that tournament anymore, really. But hey, we got our business to take care of, I guess. So.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Well, it'll be fun to see how the brackets shake out, but it kind of doesn't matter in that format, especially if you get 2 qualifiers in a weight, right? You got to beat everybody but one. So, you gotta move forward every round. So, and there isn't an easy. I haven't seen it, in all the years that I've been going to that tournament, which is. Prior to Billy getting there too, but I've never seen an easy road to the finals.
And is it a true second?
Yeah, like normally it's
format?
a true third place. So if you make the finals, hey, you're at least locked in. Takes a little bit of that pressure off. Obviously, you want to finish up with the win for your seed at nationals, but now it's true second because it's that third place wild card there. So makes it so you definitely want to win it, so you don't have to worry about.
Get challenged
seconds on the backside. So,
yeah. Well, it'll be fun. I look forward to it.
Yep. Should be.
Well, thank you again, Rocky. I tell you what, I was glad to watch you guys, and always fun at your golf tournament, and we'll visit again.
Awesome.
Definitely. And if Bill, if you want to cut out or not, Rocky, I think Bill and I want to talk just a little bit for a few minutes, just the brackets and stuff. Maybe not just brackets, but just some of the stuff we've seen.
Yep.
So we can analyze that as it goes. Thanks again, Rocky.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So Rocky, great guest. I tell you what, he's really done a great job. Everybody I've ever heard, good coach, does everything the right way. That was a big pickup. Aberdeen, that the high school lost a great coach when he went to Northern, actually, so nope, very happy to have him on. And, I think he's building young men, and that's a big part of his program.
Yep. No, it's like I said, when I say that too, when we got down there, that team could not beat anybody. I mean, they'd win 2-3 matches a duel. And, Joe Gomez was winning matches, and, Havlovic was winning matches, and Blake Perryman, and they had Tyler Stenberg, and those guys were winning matches. But I mean,
not as a full team.
Trying to win a dual meet, no chance. I mean, I think, in the conference one year went 1-7, one year went 0-8. This year, they only had 5 matches, but they went 5-0. They won them all. So, you can only beat the guys that are in front of you. And don't get me wrong, going against Makovsky's squad would have been tough. Going against St. Cloud would have been tough. But I'm just proud of them the way they did it, So come a long way. If you would have told me that
have 5 wins this year,
I actually thought, looking at the season, I thought they could go 3-2. Maybe 4-2. I was thinking 4-2. I didn't. I think we're gonna get 6 duels, of course, and maybe go 5-1. And then they beat Upper Iowa, and it was like, holy cow, look at that. And then they beat Parkside, and now it's all of a sudden you kind of, as a fan, you look forward and go, man, if they could get together put all these together, go 6-0. That's pretty neat. So. Yeah, it's really, but that's the start of a really good program when you can start putting together dual wins. They're not going to qualify 10 for the national tournament. You'd like to say they would, but they're going to, that's the next step, right? Is to compete with the St. Clouds and the Mankato's at the individual tournament.
Right.
So, yeah, it's been a fun ride down there. So.
Well, not to make this much longer, but I just wanted to say, hey, congrats everybody. State Wrestling Tournament Week here, starting this week. So it's a lot of tapering for guys. Most guys are considered down to weight, so it shouldn't be a big weight cutting time. But the brackets did come out today. If you have a chance to take a look, you can go over to Dakota Grappler. I did take pictures of all the brackets, and you can scroll down and see them all, both Class A and Class B. Kind of interesting. I hadn't had a chance to calculate all the points out, but usually what I do is I put out a spreadsheet, and then if you place where you're seated, I have a point system. And I tell you what, I got through about half of the Class A in about an hour and a half. And so I'm going to finish the Class A tonight, and then I could do a spread. I still think Bismarck High is going to run away with it in the Class A, but it could be a battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Class A. I tell you what, the way the brackets have laid out between Century, Valley City, St. Mary's is going to score a ton of points. I tell you what, St. Mary's. And then from there, we'll have to see. Fargo Davies has got some good wrestlers. Everyone else is kind of more of an individual than it is a full team, but you could put it all together. I tell you what, with these extra guys there, the extra points and pins, I was looking in the Class B brackets. It was kind of interesting seeing 32-man in brackets, and some of them were close to full. Yep. There were some of those middle to lower weights, which just there was one weight, I think only had one buy in it. There was one weight in there, but I was impressed. And some of the records, I mean, there's guys with 25 to 30 matches in some of the Class B. Class A, I saw some up to as many as 23 to 25 matches in Class A. I was going to double check, but those are some of the East schools, not in the West. Very few. I think the largest I saw maybe was 18 or 19 matches out in the West, and that must have been some JV matches included. Then they had some of the coaches I didn't like that. Like the legacy guys didn't have a record in there. They had 0-0 for the record. That has to be cleaned up in track somehow so that you can see legit records when they first put those out. Maybe they're cleaning that up as we speak, but it's kind of interesting because in Class A, they seeded the top 8 on each side and just moved them in. And there's certain locations where they're at. So there's not a true 1 seed. There's a 1 seed from the east and a 1 seed from the west on opposite sides of the bracket. And then the 2s go on the opposite side of their 1s. So the best from the west and the second best in the west are on 2 different sides. And so it kind of interesting. 106. Wasn't sure who Bismarck High. That was one where it looks like they had a 1 seed on both sides, or the 1 and 2 at Bismarck. And their varsity guy at 106 is the same side as the number 1 kid in the state, that Coy Griebel is against Bismarck's number 1. So that could be a semifinal match instead of a final match. But there's several of them. So if you have a chance, take a look and feel free to make comments. I tell you what, that's some of the best part of it, is having debate on what you guys think. A couple of things that usually happen come state tournament, come Wednesday, coaches meeting, and then Thursday morning. Some of those brackets inevitably change. There's probably going to be 4 or 5 brackets every year. Some kid gets hurt that week, or has a staph infection, or maybe a family member dies. You never know. I've had that happen before, where somebody's grandpa died and they just couldn't go to state. So there'll be some bracket changes. But usually what happens, if you guys don't know what happens that way, if it's a seeded wrestler, they redraw. But if it's a non-seeded wrestler, they'll slide somebody in there or move a bye through, just so it's not a double bye. Let's say that there's a spot where it'd be a double bye, so a bye moves along, then they'd switch that up. So you guys can check that out. Any big thing that you could think of from the brackets you saw?
Well, I was kind of curious how they did on the Class A side. So, did they always have, and I was trying to look, but I don't think they did. Did they always have a West guy on would be the top of the bracket, right? And maybe it was. It looks like it was in every case, right?
Right.
So
when I looked at it's kind of interesting, because when I looked at the whole thing, they kind of like had, normally the number 1 guy from the West was on top. Right. And the number 1 guy from the East was on bottom.
At the bottom. Yep.
But so then what's interesting, that's why 106, when 106
kind of stands out. Yeah.
Kind of stands out to me, because they've got that Savageau on top and him being the number 1. And the criteria, what's interesting in the past, the main criteria was returning state finalist at the same weight. And then the rest of that goes way down in the seeds when it comes to, a state placer. It ends up being then head-to-head is pretty much what's Class A been. I don't know if they changed what their criteria is, but it looks like Noah Savageau could be the number 1. And then they've got their undefeated wrestler on the bottom side, DeForest, the 8th grader, as the number 2. But then Bismarck High has to determine who their point getter is. And you would think you'd have to go with the 1 seed being the point getter, on the top. And so, but DeForest hasn't lost unless he lost a wrestle off. And I'll do some investigating tomorrow night. Oh, one more thing. Tomorrow night, I've got the Monday matchups for Matt Pack. Oh, yeah. We'll be live again. Last time we had 600-700 people watching it. It goes live at Buffalo Wild Wings, at the sports page in Bismarck, and you can put it on YouTube. And we have, 1st through 6th grade duels. And tomorrow night it's going against Minot. So it's kind of fun little activity. So that's another thing you can look forward to if you want to check that out. But another thing for the Class A bracket, again, what was the other surprise a little bit for me? Matchup wise, I think I saw one. The bracket that kind of cleared out a little bit was 32 still in Class A. Barnhart is by far, probably the best Class A wrestler in the state, arguably at least. But that made it kind of interesting, because Dakota on the other side looks like he's got an okay bracket for Century there to make it to the finals. But the one that surprised me a little bit was actually at 160 with Chase Burke coming down from 70. And by him not wrestling a match at 60, he was a state finalist last year. And so him being a state finalist, if that was a criteria, then he got the 1 seed, even though he didn't wrestle Renner. He didn't wrestle in the West. It's insane at 160, because you got Colton Hughes, who's only got 1 loss on the year. And that was his match. He lost to Century, the 138-pound number 1 kid. And they got to think that was at 45, or at 52 he bumped up. But that was, of course, Redens that's the only match. He's got a loss. And so, but he ends up the number 2. And then the number 3 has to be Renner. And then Renner went back up on top with Chase Burke. And then the 4 on the other side must have been Stugelmeyer, who's, I tell you what, if somebody's going to find a way to come through the bottom side of that bracket, it could be Stugelmeyer and Muse fighting it out. And then this far side, Renner and Burke. I'm not giving the East much credit, and I apologize for that. But I tell you what, those guys are legit. Every one of those wrestlers. So that bracket is completely loaded, 160. I tell you.
Yeah, that's a good bracket.
Yep. And then another kind of could be some interesting ones all the way through. We'll argue that on Wednesday a little bit more. I'll analyze this some more. But in the Class B, if I should almost pull it up and put it on the screen, but you guys should just look through the Class B a little bit. But yeah, see, now somebody else says here, whatever season makes no difference. Yeah, Tim, I agree. Now, Trevor Hansen is kind of interesting. Savageau is a returning state placer. I do know that. But here's what's interesting. The returning state placer was not one of the main criteria. It was just finalist. And so state placer, unless they probably put that in the criteria now.
It's probably in the criteria, but maybe further down.
And so, but, you would think that if he's the varsity guy, he wouldn't get over the varsity guy. Like if you're the varsity guy for Bismarck High, you think you'd want him on the top side away from the varsity guy on the other side, Coy, and because that's been that way all year. That means he's getting beat in the room. But it's that's what I just want to hear what's happening. I'll have to ask probably tomorrow. Dyke Bailey's a little bit.
Yeah.
He might know more.
You'll see him at the Matt Pack duels.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And so, other than that, do you have any big things? I think I'm just happy to see we're going in this state wrestling week.
No, I actually think if it was possible, if you have time before, I know we probably be on Wednesday night, but if we could get on, obviously Monday night you're pretty busy, but Tuesday
I would
maybe spend the night just talking about the brackets.
Okay, I'm available. I will do it Tuesday night. Definitely.
So we could do that Tuesday. Spend some time on Class A, some time in Class B, and maybe a little, and then maybe maybe a little on the duels, or we could do that some other time too.
Well, we can do it all Tuesday night. That'd be good.
Right.
Talk about the duels. Okay, yep. I'll set up some stuff so we have some screen layouts, and we can go from there too, and have them flash up on the screen and talk.
Yeah, because I've looked through the brackets, and I always kind of try to look for a wild card in there, and this year it's going to be harder to find, but I do. You're talking about the matches. I see that Bowden Greenlee's got 28 matches. Obviously 28-0. And he's by
152 1 seed. Yep.
Yeah.
Class B they seeded them out to 12, so you can kind of see how they did that, which is kind of cool.
So it'll be it should be a good. I mean, it's the state wrestling tournament. It'll be a good tournament. They're hard to win. I don't care what weight you're at, who you are. I do think there's a couple clear favorites. We just mentioned one, obviously, but we can hit those on Tuesday night, maybe.
Well, I'll send out an invite to anybody that wants to get on and debate some stuff Tuesday night. Or just get a hold of me. I don't care who you are. I'll put you in the wings, and we can discuss some of the stuff. Tim, if you want to get on, I don't care. You have some say. Trevor, anybody that wants to talk some stuff, I'll have an open invite somewhere, or you can pop in and be a guest. And if I have to erase you, I'll erase you off the screen. But it will be good to debate some stuff. But I tell you what, again, guys, State Wrestling Week, you guys, we've been on for an hour 15. I said I'd try to cut this short. I got some other stuff I need to do this evening. Just go and promote the sport. It's going to be an exciting week. I'll be on tomorrow night with Matt Pack. Again, we have the matchups against Minot. Tuesday, we'll do a breakdown of the brackets. Bill and I, and if someone has some guests. And then Wednesday, we have a special guest, Logan Storley, that plans on coming on from South Dakota. And if some other coach, I know that he's friends with several coaches down in South Dakota, I might actually get another South Dakota coach on, because I'd like to talk about theirs, because they're heading into their state tournament the week after. And I tell you what, we could be busy every night, Bill, because I'm going to do some updates, other things at the state wrestling tournament come Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I can't go live, but I can do little clips, or I can do updates. So I'll be on doing a couple updates throughout the day. And then when it comes to the finals on Friday, Bill and I are going to be busy, very busy, because they're going to have two matches going at once. So I think Bill and I will probably be doing both the A and the B, but we're going to be
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
separate mats.
Yep.
And then with the duels on Saturday, we're real busy too. But if you guys definitely want to catch action, this is the time. We're going to be busy. Send this out to people. Go down. Click that like button if you're on YouTube, or subscribe. We're getting more and more people on all the time, and we're going to get more and more guests. Okay, guys, have a great night. Jon Gums, Dakota Grappler. We are out.